Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley responded, saying, in part, this: Dr. Ford's testimony would reflect her personal knowledge and memory of events. Nothing the FBI or any other investigator does would have any bearing on what Dr. Ford tells the committee, so there is no reason for any further delay. Here now is Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, your take on what we know so far.
We are in politically and legally virgin territory. We really haven't seen anything like this. There was no follow-up FBI investigation in 1991 after Anita Hill made her allegations. But we're in a different world now. Does the FBI do this? Yes. Yes, the FBI has an agreement with the Senate Judiciary Committee when they have a nominee for a position for which they are entitled to have a background check. The FBI conducts them. Does the FBI open up background checks? Yes. Do they do what the president tells them to do? Yes. Do they do what Senator Grassley or whoever the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee asks them to do? Generally, yes. This is solely at this point in the discretion of the chair of the committee as to whether or not he wants to do this. Now, if the FBI does interrogate her, it won't be just her. It will be her, it will be her husband, it will be her therapist, it will be anybody else to whom she sends them to corroborate what she claims happened. Then they have to interrogate Judge Kavanaugh, and it won't be just him. It'll be anyone to whom he sends them to corroborate his version. So if time is of the essence, this is not going to happen quickly. Now, can she testify before the Senate committee without Judge Kavanaugh in the room? Absolutely. When Anita Hill testified, Clarence Thomas, then Judge Thomas, was not there.
Well, let me stop you there, because in the statement, the letter from Chuck Grassley and his office, contrary to suggestions by Dr. Blasey Ford's attorneys, the committee had no plans to place Dr. Ford and Judge Kavanaugh on a panel together,
right,
and never indicated plans to do so. Grassley's staff offered Dr. Ford multiple dates, as well as a choice of providing information in a public or private setting.
Right.
This looks purely like a stalling tactic and a delay tactic that is purely political.
You know, it does. It does have the earmarks of that. I myself believe that these FBI background checks, having had 2 of them myself, can be extremely thorough, but they are time-consuming. And the senators often, Jason may know this better than I, like the background checks because it gives them a roadmap of what they're going to hear from the witness before they hear it. However, this is basically a she said, he said. New York Times is reporting this morning, the Washington Post is reporting this morning that she apparently did tell this to other people before Judge Kavanaugh was nominated. So, again, the FBI would have a lot of people to talk to.
Yeah, but she never brought it up until 30 years after the incident, which raises questions. It talks about the notes, that the therapist notes mentioned 4 men, not 2 men. She doesn't remember time and place.
But again, as I said to your initial question, this is virgin territory. There are no rules. Does she have to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that this happened? Does Judge Kavanaugh have to acquit himself by a preponderance of the evidence? I think the answer to both those questions is no. What is the general impression of the Senate committee and of the American public by 5 o'clock Monday afternoon? That's what is going to push this one way or another. Are Democrats and certain Republicans looking for an excuse to vote against the confirmation because they don't like the president? Maybe. And maybe they have it now.
But they don't work for the president. They work for the American people and the people who voted them into office, Jason.
Well, and the heart of this is we're having hearings about Judge Kavanaugh. It's not a hearing about her and the gall to demand an FBI investigation. That's just not the way it works. I do think Chairman Grassley has bent over backwards to be accommodating where they do this, how long they do this, the fact that we're even going to hear from this witness. I'm sure lots of people would love to testify, but the committee, I think, is going to great lengths. But the Democrats really don't have any leverage or rule that they can do and insist other than the flailing that we see.
That's correct. Now, here's an interesting dilemma. If she does not show, for whatever reasons, her lawyers are advising her against it, she's terrified, she insists on the FBI investigation first, whatever the reason is, should Judge Kavanaugh publicly deny these allegations before he has heard what the allegations are? I don't think so. I mean, the basic rule of thumb is you don't deny something until you've been accused. She must go first so that he knows the full panoply of all the allegations against him.
Why can't you deny it if he was never in the room with her, he was never at this party, that he just...
Because that gives her a very, very unfair advantage when or if she ever does testify. She can tailor her testimony to his denials. She has to go first before she hears his denials, and he has to have the opportunity to hear all of the allegations against him before he utters any denials.
I mean, this has just spiraled into such garbage that there are people passing around this man's high school yearbook, trying to parse what was written in a high school yearbook. That's how low they go.
Let me give Senator Grassley a little bit of comfort. I think he knows what I'm about to say. There is no magic to the first Monday in October. That's when the court first sits. That's not when the court issues opinions. So if Judge Kavanaugh doesn't become Justice Kavanaugh until the first Monday in November, he's not going to miss out on any significant votes that the Supreme Court has to take.
Right, but judges, you know, typically if justices are not seated during the oral arguments, they're not going to be part of the opinion later.
Oh, not so. Not so.
I think the American people do have a right to a full Supreme Court. I think that's
tell that to Mitch McConnell.
And this is
well, therein lies the bitterness of the Democrats.
That's the root of the bitterness.
Merrick Garland.
Is the way they treated Merrick Garland.
We're getting beyond a legal question into what's really a political question, which is if Dr. Ford turns down the opportunity to tell her side of the story,
I think that should end it.
Right.
But it won't.
He should not be compelled to deny an allegation that has not been presented to him. That is exquisitely unfair to him.
And if she say, I can't tell you when, I can't tell you where, I just know that something happened. So how can you deny that?
You know, she might be such a incredible witness that it would be unworthy of even responding to her. Or she might tell such a compelling story with far more details than she's told already that Judge Kavanaugh needs to know what those details are before he begins to address them.